I just want to go back. You gave a detailed explanation of why Thomas didn't start yesterday and how that went with Matt Pert. In the second half, was it also your plan to rotate the two, or was Thomas coming out in the third quarter after a missed block a performance-based move?
No, there was just a plan to go ahead and move our players on through the entire game at multiple positions. So we just stuck with the plan right there. Yeah, there was nothing performance based on that at all, Paul, on that right there. No. So again, I stress again with Andrew, obviously this is something the guy made a mistake on a team policy. Again, I like to stress this guy's a great dude in the building. We love Andrew. Nothing disrespectful or malicious. He just made a mistake and there's consequences.
So the second half, the plan was to rotate them just the same as you did in the first half.
Yeah, Mark had him on a rotation. He kind of just stuck with, the number of series that were going in and out at that point right there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Lombardo.
Hey, Joe. How's it going, man?
Good, Matt. What's going on, man?
Hey, just curious. I know you guys didn't practice today, but how much closer is Sterling Shepard being ready? I know it's a quick turnaround to Thursday night, but how much closer are you to having him back on the field?
Yeah, I think we're a little bit closer than we were last week. Obviously, he didn't make it to the game. He worked with the trainers today. I'm going a lot right now off the information they've given me from today's workout. We were in staff meetings when he was out there on the field doing some of his rehab stuff. So being a walkthrough week for us, we'll have to go really based on what the trainers tell us. We'll have to go ahead and look at him. We'll see. This could go up to a pregame workout. We're not sure. We'll see where he's at throughout the week.
And they're pretty banged up on their side. Reports came out today, no Miles Sanders, no Zach Ertz. How much does that change your preparation for a team knowing that they could be without, and probably are going to be without, two of their most dynamic weapons?
Well, I think they've got enough weapons on all fronts to really prepare for it, these guys. So, I mean, look, you don't want to see any players get hurt, to be honest with you. You want to play teams when they're at their best. That's what competition's all about. We're expecting Jeffrey and Jackson to be back, and they're going to give you a lot of trouble along with all the other receivers they have already. So, they know how to use their receivers, their backs, and their tight ends all very well. So it doesn't matter who's in there. They're all very capable.
I'm Canover.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Tom.
When you prepare for Philadelphia, have you done any work prior to this week so it's not such a short week?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with all opponents, we actually go back in the spring and through the summer and really build a base on what they are historically. Now, obviously, that changes within the regular season based on who's on their roster and how certain things have shaken out for them. But I always try to work weeks ahead, especially knowing it's a Thursday game. You want to work a couple weeks ahead to really build your base on them. For me personally, I'm always a week ahead on the opponent as it is anyway. That's something I've always done, something I've gotten accustomed to doing, through what I've done at different places. So you just rely on your notes. You watch the tape on Monday from the previous game the night before. You update where you think you are with everything, and then that helps you as far as your planning day on, Tuesday and then going into Wednesday and Thursday, putting together the game plan. If you wait till the game week to really start diving into the next opponent, I don't think there's enough time to really dedicate recapping your game from the day before, getting into a new opponent, really learning what they are, and then at the same time formulating a plan for it. Some people can do that. For me personally, that's not the way I like to work.
Thank you.
Duggan.
Hey, Joe, just going back to Paul's question with the left tackle, now that Andrew served his punishment, is he back as your starting left tackle on Thursday night?
Yeah, we'll go through practice this week and kind of see where everything shakes out right now. But I was pleased with the way, both he and Matt played, all right, along with Cam. So, we've got multiple guys that can play the positions. Matt's guys worked on the right and the left. We practice Andrew both on the right and the left as it is anyway, and Cam gets reps on the left as well just to make sure we're all in position if we have to get our numbers called. So we'll go through practice these next couple of days and kind of see where everything shakes out. But, again, we expect all of them to be at the game, and we expect all of them to play.
And then when you have, a decision to make on a fourth down, what goes into that? Do you have someone in your ear telling you the win probability and how it's affected? Is it gut feeling? Just what goes into that for you?
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of, you talk through the situations that come up, with Pat and Jason, calling the plays on offense and defense. As I go through a series, I'm really looking down the line of, okay, if this gets a fourth and short here, what am I doing? We kicking or we going? If this gets to a fourth and medium, what am I doing right here? All right, what am I looking at if we punt the ball down here on a long field goal situation versus taking the attempt of the long field goal? What could be the factor right there? So to me, I'm kind of playing out the game in scenarios of what's going to come up, what's going to happen, how we can best handle it. I'm always, evaluating where we are, timeouts versus clock and score. And then to be honest with you, a lot of it's just the flow of the game. You can look at the whole analytics pages of different things, and they tell you when to go for two, when to go on fourth down. That's all great, but you've got to understand the flow of the game And sometimes there is a lot of emotion that goes into it, not to just go out there and pound your chest, but knowing what your team needs at the time and how they're playing.
Thanks, Joe.
Tom Rock.
I was actually going to ask about that a little bit too, Joe. Does facing an opposing coach who you know is going to be aggressive, like Ron was, make you a little bit more conservative, like you seemed to be yesterday?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say, conservative different things. You need to play to the strength of your team and the flow of the game and what you have confidence in. While sometimes you may say it's conservative not to go for it on fourth down, a lot of times it's aggressive to say we're going to trust our defense, go out there and do the job. So we're going to have faith in our team. We prepare in all three phases. That being said, you always have to consider how the other coach calls the game. When Ron had the ball and they were driving with about 5 minutes left in the game, you start looking in terms of they're going to treat this like it's a 2-minute situation. You start kind of putting it through your mind and talking to the offense like, okay, guys, let's be ready. We've got a couple timeouts. Let's get ready to start working on 2-minute, talking to our players, thinking about what calls we may want to make. If I have to burn a timeout here, guys, think about how that may change our calls with only one timeout. So we talk ahead on the situations on the series to make sure everyone's on the same page. But you have to understand how the other coach calls it. Ron being a good example because he's been very aggressive throughout his career. Is this going to be a guy who's going to go for it at midfield? Is it going to be a fake situation? That's how Tom and T-Mac really do a good job getting the guys prepped and ready in the situation of the game, being alert for the gimmicks and the gadgets, make them up in the kicking game to try to extend drives. So, for us, we try to go ahead and apply, all the principles of all the phases. But the opponent is always the biggest factor in the decisions you make. So whether you're going for on fourth down, it's who are you playing, how are they playing, and how are you playing against them?
And then I also want to ask you. I know you love talking about yourself, but going back to Philly this week. What are your thoughts? What are your emotions there?
I'll probably wear a helmet too because my in-laws are already buying batteries. So, it's to be honest with you, it's not my first time going back to Philly as an opposing coach. It's a great city. It's got great, passionate fans. It's an excellent team. It's obviously a great rivalry. I grew up watching these games. They were always, tough games, blue-collar type games when the Eagles and the Giants played when I was growing up watching the games. Again, you're so focused on the opponent, the emotion doesn't really get tied into it. We just know we've got a heck of a team we got to match up against.
Pat Leonard.
Joe, specific to the fourth down decision, why punt on 4th and 2 from the 38 there, or take the delay of game there?
We're taking a delay of game in that situation right there?
Yeah, you intentionally take it to then punt, but I'm saying, why not go for that there?
Yeah, again, Pat, at that point right there, I had a lot of confidence in our defense. Hey, look, we put the offense out there. Sometimes it looks like it's intentional. Sometimes it may be. Sometimes it might not be. We've got a lot of situational calls and different things we work at all times. But in that situation right there, it's easy to say, hey, it's 4th and 2, go for it. It's in short range. Your defense is playing good. You got a punter you trust. You got special teams that are put on the field to create field position. And if you can put an opponent on a long field and you trust the way your defense is playing, then you trust them to give it back to your offense in good position.
Got it. And Kyler Fackrell has made big plays in 2 straight games now on D. Another one of those guys who's playing through injuries. But just why has he been able to kind of come up with some big plays and big moments for you guys? I
think he just does a good job of executing the plan. Pat does a really good job of putting these pieces together. Brett does an excellent job of coaching the guys on the edge, working with them. Kyler has a good tool set with a lot of versatility to it. So whether it's dropping into coverage, rushing, setting the edge against the run, whatever it may be, he does a good job of really applying all of his tools to it. And he's got good instincts and savvy to understand, especially as the game goes on, when he makes a lot of his plays, what his opponent's been showing him and what he can use to kind of set that guy up to go ahead and make a play. But he's a good, smart football player. He's made a lot of plays for us when his number's been called. We're happy to have him.
Thanks.
We'll take 3 more. Art, Jordan, Zach. Art.
Hey, Joe. I know obviously you talked about the preparation weeks in advance for opponents that you do and maybe the coaches do. I'm curious, defensively, especially when you want to be week to week with the game plan, is there a hesitancy with the players to know that you don't want to change too much and go with a blank slate on a week where you play on a Thursday night as opposed to maybe a regular week? Do you guys talk about that and, shift maybe what you would do philosophically based on the time you actually have?
No, you know what? We always think about that, Art, but really the way we teach in the beginning is what sets us up for situations like this on a short week. Because whether it's a Thursday night game or a halftime adjustment, which we had to make plenty of them yesterday with some personnel changes in the game due to injury, the guys have to understand the concepts of what you're trying to do. So when you start teaching on the front end in training camp and back in the spring, you want to make sure that all the players understand the concepts of what you're trying to doing. So it's a certain type of coverage. Okay, well, what are the elements of the coverage? All right, it's a certain type of man coverage. What's the leverage you have to win? It's a certain kind of rush. What are the details of the rush we have to execute? And then you just plug people in different spots, and they understand that when they're in that spot that concept applies to, they know how to play it. So we make sure that when we drill our players and we teach them, everyone's learning how to play deep field technique. Everyone's learning how to play a hard flat technique. Everyone's learning how to play curl flat, or the seam curl or the middle run through. Everyone's learning how to set an edge in the run game. Everyone's learning how to blitz the A and the B gap, and everyone's learning how to work a stunt game and a twist coming off the edge. So we make sure we put all of our guys through all the exercises of it so that when it comes up for them, it's not new. It may seem more new to the opponent, but for us, it's something we've been teaching from day one.
And just the follow-up on the tackle situation, do you see any advantage for switching guys mid-game, series to series, against the defense and what maybe the defense is prepared for? The difference. You got Thomas versus a Pert at left tackle.
I think the biggest emphasis is it's just important for us to play as many of our guys as possible, especially these young guys who need to gain the experience and can only really improve by being on the field and working. Matt's a guy who's shown a lot of improvement in the way he works in practice. We've seen it from the team periods, the individual one-on-one pass rush periods. He's shown progress in the games, in the action he's seen. Andrew's been doing a good job for us as well. So to me, it's just important to get guys involved and let them play and learn.
Thanks, Joe.
Jordan?
To build off that for 1 second, then I have a much lighter question. How much did Matt Pert earn the opportunity to play more from what he did yesterday?
Yeah, I think he did a good enough job. I have confidence to put him on the field. I have confidence in Andrew. I have confidence in Cam. I have confidence in all our offensive linemen. So has he earned the right to be on the field and contribute? Absolutely. That's why he's going to be at the games for us. But everybody on our roster and practice squad has earned the right to be here, Jordan, and we have confidence we'll play any of them anytime.
And, you grew up in Philadelphia, very provincial city. We know that. I'm just curious, what do you think your friends and even your mom would have said to you? Say, hey, I'm going to be the coach of the New York Giants.
When I was younger?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Go get them. Look, my brother walked around in an LT jersey his entire life. Just, I think mostly to make us mad, because we're all rooting for the Eagles. But hey, eventually you get used to seeing it and you understand why he was wearing it.
All right, last question here, Zach.
Hey, Joe. You guys had Ryan Lewis following Terry McLaurin around for a little bit. I was just curious the thought process there and how you thought he held up. I don't think he gave up a catch yesterday.
No, I thought Ryan's been playing well for us. He's definitely a guy who's made a lot of progress for us. We've been familiar with Ryan for some time, had experience with him in the past. He's definitely a guy who's really, improved over the course of his career. I got a lot of confidence in Ryan on the field. He's a tough dude now. But he definitely rose up to competition. Look, McLaurin's a heck of a receiver now. This guy's explosive as can be. You talk to guys like Colt, who had him on the team as a teammate with him, and early in the week, Colt saying some accolades about this guy, about how he's one of the best receivers he's ever thrown to, in terms of what this guy can do to get open and what he does with the ball in his hand, and it paints a picture that this guy's really an excellent player. You see it on tape. I remember when the guy came out of college, he was painted a little bit as more of a special teams guy than an offensive guy. And I think this guy's definitely shown he's got versatility, and he's definitely a weapon for their offense, and he'd be a player for any team in this league. But Ryan did a good job for us right there. That's just part of the matchups we established for the game plan right there. And then later in the game, it was changed up for different reasons. But I thought Ryan did a good job for us yesterday.